I have two esteemed speakers, Mr. Lokesh Suji, Director of Esports Federation of India and Vice President of Asian Esports Federation. I'm also very honored to invite the first female lawyer for esports and gaming in India, Ms. Aahna Mehotra, who's a CXO and partner, a CXO at Galaxy Racer and also a partner at TMT Law. Thank you for attending the panel, guys. So very quick round of introductions, just so that our audience knows whom they are listening to. Let's start.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Hello, everybody. My name is Lokesh Suji. I am the director with the Esports Federation of India, and I'm also the vice president with the Asian Esports Federation. As a federation, we are very happy to share that we got the bronze medal for India in 2018, where esports was a medal title, and very lately for with Commonwealth Esports Championship, our Dota team got the bronze medal.
Aahna.
Hi everyone, I'm Aahna Mehotra. I'm a partner at a full-service law firm based out of New Delhi and Mumbai called TMT Law Practice. Why I do what I do is because I used to play cricket back in the day. I got selected to play for India under 19. Thereafter, I gave that up and went to law school and essentially felt the need to club both vocation and passion and pursue sports and gaming law, and I've been working in the industry for the last 11 odd years.
Brilliant. So Lokesh, can we start off with a quick idea to our audience about what is really this word called esports, and that there's a lot of confusion around esports, especially in a market like India.
Sure. I think that's a good opening. This thing I think we should have had this session as session number one. But any which ways, so I think Ravi, you're absolutely right that when we talk about India as a market and esports, so there's a lot of confusion which still exists in the terms that. So I've got just a couple of slides, if I may. I think it's skipped. So I think in India, typically the confusion is around. So I'll begin with telling you guys that what is not esports. So in India, of course, people think that fantasy, teen patti, rummy, poker is esports. So we have seen this quite a lot initially, but very happy to see that now people have started realizing the difference. And online gaming, gambling, or even if you're playing a casual video game, or if you are involved into any kind of real money gaming activities, so this is not esports. And we've been saying this from day one, and we are very happy that today, as far as the ministries are concerned, whether that's the Ministry of Sports or MIP or MIB, they have also realized and understood the difference, and they are very clear in the terms, obviously these things don't fall under the category of esports. Now the question is, what is esports? So esports is, as I said that, if you are playing a casual video game, that is not, or any kind of video game for that matter, that is not esports. So there are only 5 genres of video game which fall under the category of esports, which is first is of course sports, wherein we are talking about, simulation sports. Like for football, we have got, video games like, we got FIFA, or we got Pro Evolution Soccer. Similarly, on the real-time strategy, we have got games like Clash Royale, Hearthstone for MOBA, which is Dota, League of Legends, or fighting. I'm sure everybody would have tried their hands with Street Fighter. So that's a very good example. First-person shooter, of course, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, and for easy understanding, we can put games like PUBG or Free Fire or BGMI as part of first-person shooter. So if you are doing a competition on these set of video games, so then it is when it's called as esports. So that is primarily and largely, and it's obviously device agnostic. I've also seen that people say that it's a mobile esports, PC esports, or a console esports. There's nothing like a mobile esports or a PC. They say esports is esports. You can, and obviously the way things are moving, esports would take a shape of, there are a lot of AR games which are very good examples. Father.io is a good example. Hado is a very good example. So, as we move forward, and I'm pretty sure that, something built around drones and everything would also fall under the category of esports.
Got it. Very interesting definition. I'm sure that still leaves a lot to be discussed further in the discussion ahead. So, Aahna, when we talk of esports, there are leagues, there are these new regulations about taxations, prize winnings getting taxed. There's so much confusion about what happens when a player becomes a professional player or a regular gamer becomes a esports gamer, right? Can you just give us a kind of overview of what entails esports from a regulations, rules kind of a overview?
So I think first things first, it's necessary to understand the distinction largely between traditional sport and e-sport, right? So e-sport is largely publisher governed. What is a publisher? Publisher is the one who basically writes the code and owns the copyright. As far as a traditional sport is concerned, there is no copyright owner of cricket. Nobody, ICC does not own cricket, or for that matter, FIFA doesn't own football. You're well within your rights to go out there in a playground, play whatever version of football you want to play, or you want to play whatever version of cricket, right? That's not how it works with esports. There is a proper copyright law in place, and if you're technically playing a pirated version or you're playing esport without a license, you're infringing upon their copyright. So that is the primary concern anyway. So it's publisher control. That is, as far as particularly India is concerned, we all of course seen because of the army standoff. There are geopolitical issues that came into play, and that's essentially why PUBG was banned. There were data privacy concerns. Eventually, Krafton came out with a reformed version of PUBG, essentially BGMI. That also has recently been banned. So geopolitical issues have become a huge consideration from a legal perspective. Then, of course, other regulations, all this stipulation around what is a game of skill, what is a game of chance, can prize money be awarded, can prize money not be awarded. Then the most recent aspect, of course, the whole GST Council piece, wherein conversation has been going on to move skill games in the highest tax bracket. And there also there's a bit of a gray because unfortunately or fortunately, even though horse racing is called as a game of skill, that is in the highest tax bracket, which is 28%. All other games so far by the GST Council were being taxed at 18%. But now there is talk of moving that entire bracket to 28%, right? The highest tax bracket. So there is a little bit of apprehension from obviously esports players, fantasy sports players. So that's a different consideration altogether. Then we come on to the player side of things, obviously, because a large part of the stakeholders are young players. I think there's little value for contracts in general. So just basic contract law coming into play, them honoring the contracts. Also, people not writing extremely unfair contracts because I think what a lot of people tend to end up doing is that uh, have an overarching control over the player, which I mean sometimes works to their detriment. The idea is to grow the industry, so you need to look at it from both perspectives. And I don't think you can have extremely unfair, unreasonable terms. So that's another sort of piece that comes into play. Then of course we discussed the whole media rights bit in the previous session, and it's very interesting that in the esports side of things, you can technically have 4 broadcasts of the same game or match going on. You can have it from the publisher or the tournament operator perspective. You can also have it from the team owner slash team perspective. You can have it from the player perspective, who's can run his own YouTube channel. And then of course there's the whole influencer market that comes into play. They can run their own YouTube channels and do the commentary on live match. So you technically have 4 different versions of content. Everybody is technically making their own content, so that's their own copyright. But that's another issue which is extremely peculiar to esports. So yeah, those are, that's like the overview of some of the regulatory things that are to be taken into consideration, which make it slightly different. I mean, in fact, a lot more different from a traditional sport perspective in terms of when we look at the legal regulations and stipulations. And I mean, of course, like I said in the beginning, it is all publisher control. So publisher sets the rules and regulations. So you always have to abide by them. And then last but not the least is the integrity side of things, which is the e-doping. So both physical, where there's substance abuse, and of course electronic, which is basically you try and manipulate with the software. So that again is another side of legal affairs and regulations as far as esports is concerned.
Okay,
So I think that's a very interesting point which Aahna had raised is in the terms of the GST Council or because it's a game of skill and game of chance. So very honestly, I think it's not right to put esports into a category of game of skill or game of chance, for a very simple reason that for cricket, we don't call cricket as a game of skill or game of chance. There is definitely, again, I'm not a legal expert, but I think the judgment of Supreme Court, which came in where through which obviously games like Rummy or Fantasy were called or put into the category of game of skill, somewhere I think that judgment missed upon that what is the percentage of skill that particular game should have. Is it 51% or it should be 70% or 75% of this thing? But specifically limiting our discussion to esports, so it's not right to put esports into a category of game of skill or game of chance. Cricket, we don't call cricket as a game of skill, right? Cricket is a sport. So similarly, when esports is, I think the need of the hour today is that the government, our ministry, like any other, our neighbors or the flourishing and the developing or the developed nations, our government should recognize esports as a sport. So now the best advantage in this case would happen is typically, obviously, our taxation is not a problem. So whichever way the sports goods and things are being taxed. That is how this thing. But the biggest advantage which our player get is they get an assurity that after they get retired, there is a provision of jobs and you can or during the course of their being athlete, there are so many traditional sports athletes who have been taken up by ONGC. A lot of private institutions have also kind of taken up where they are. I know of Hima that she's been given she's become a DSP or something of some region in Assam. And plus, after, see, in our case, the shelf life of our esports athlete is very short, right? And that particular age wherein his peers or his her peers are preparing for, let's say, IIMs, becoming doctors or engineers, or think of doing a setup. This guy is actually compromising of his studies and focusing on the game. So in our case, this kind of a support coming in from a government or such kind of a provision which comes in will definitely amplify the inclination. The biggest problem in our esports or a gaming system is that we don't have parental approvals.
Got it. So,
Sorry,
yes,
buddy,
please.
go ahead.
So,
No, I
so
was just going to clarify from a legal perspective, right? I agree with what Lokesh said. But basically, what the Supreme Court has said is that no game, and that includes sport, which is things like cricket and football, is a pure game of skill or a pure game of chance. As far as all physical sports are concerned, on the basis of that judgment, they are largely held to be games of skill or sports that involve skill. And that's how that whole Dream 11 judgment, which is, I mean, a topic for another discussion, but has come out. So that realm is pretty clear. I think as far as from the GST perspective, and that's why I said it's pretty peculiar, because they say horse racing is technically a sport, which is a sport that involves skill, and that's essentially why staking is legal on that, because it is held to be a game of skill. Here, what is happening, I think, from an esports perspective, and this is purely, seconding him on what he's saying, but largely that, equipment should not be taxed, that should be tax free, etc. But I think here the debate has become the issue from a GST council perspective is given that prize money to be taxed at 28% or lesser, and also if there is a fee being charged to play, right, that particular fee, when a particular, in this case a publisher, but in the likes of Dream 11, companies like Dream 11 who are running those games are collecting, should that be taxed as well? So that's a bit of a complicated issue, but totally with him in terms of that, there needs to be some leverages in terms of uh, goods not being taxed as far as esports is concerned, just like any other sport out there.
Similarly, as an entry fee also, because when we look at traditional sports, you would agree that at the lowest level, wherein district level trials are happening or district level championships
Correct.
are happening, so they too charge some entry fee or a registration fee. This thing. So I don't know whether that falls under part of service tax or this thing, but definitely it's not 28%. Or at times it is all inclusive. There is no tax or something. So that
in
was the
fact, that's a great point to the next question, right? So, real money gaming is the keyword buzzword of the gaming industry in India. And it's defined as, is there a money in? Of course, most games have a money out along with fun. So, people need not put money in, they could still win prizes. That used to be a clean distinction between esports and RMG games, right? But today, esports also have, or at least according to these government regulations, esports also have money in concepts nowadays, either through in-app purchases, tournament passes inside the games. So many interesting things that publishers have evolved into. So is money in, money out, and anything related to that also a deciding factor around the regulations around esports?
That certainly is, and that's what the biggest gray is, right? When you're purchasing skins, are you, as far as esports are concerned, are you staking? No, you're not staking. So, and that is the gray technically that we're exploiting, and that is why today regulations around this whole area, be it fantasy, be it esports, be it real money gaming, a uniform set of regulations has become a need of the hour, because everybody, of course, is acting basis their what they sort of deem as skill and what they deem as not staking per se, and figuring workarounds around it. Of course, in the middle, there was a blanket ban that Google or Apple had done anyways. You couldn't have these apps on the App Store at all, right? Because they involved exiting with money. So that was an issue. That's been an issue. So because there's this massive convolution, so to speak, with regard to how certain things are to be treated. So now today, technically, if I'm charging an entry fee on a game in, say, Maharashtra, that might still pass, and eventually you can have a prize money outside. But because Tamil Nadu has now explicitly put a ban, or an Andhra who has explicitly put a ban on staking on any kinds of games of skill, right? Then that risk of charging even a basic entry fee becomes a bit of an issue. So it all comes, I mean, it all comes from archaic Supreme Court judgments that exist, which, I mean, as far as this one is concerned, it pertains to Rummy. Whether a club wherein you could sit and play Rummy, which has been held to play to be a game of skill, could they charge a basic sitting fee or not? So till such time as the club is, because the club is offering services like electricity, basic maintenance, and therefore charging a nominal sitting fee is not amounting to the club being a gambling house. A gambling house is what is prohibited. So that is, and obviously because this is a judgment from back in the 1960s, nobody contemplated the whole digital space. There is no clear judgment in the whole digital space, and all that we have done as lawyers is converted that jurisprudence to be applicable to today's times. So what will amount to technically running a gambling house? And this is why all these state acts that are coming out, and I think Lokesh would be happy to add to it, that as a first step, the Rajasthan bill recently included esports in that definition. But even though the inclusion took place, the place and the manner in which the inclusion has taken place does not really make sense.
No, completely agree. So, and that is the reason. See, what happens is that whenever we start talking about esports, we somewhere end up talking about RMG and other things. Very honestly, I think we should stop doing that for a very simple reason is that, see, if Tamil Nadu has banned whatever they have banned, if tomorrow, let's say Tamil Nadu has to, or a Tamil Nadu federation, or let's say some district in Tamil Nadu wants to do a e-sport championship and they are charging an entry fee, that is to be considered as sports. So please feel free to go ahead and do that. I don't think so. The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu would say, okay, guys, don't do this, or the State Olympic Association of Tamil Nadu would say that don't charge a registration fee or whatever, right? It's a sport. So that is the point which we have been again saying this from day one is that esports is a sport, right? And that is it is high time one to clearly, and I don't know why we Indians want to create our own definitions for esports, right? The esports is very clearly defined worldwide also. It's very clearly defined by the Olympic Council of Asia also. And obviously, as far as we are concerned, the definitions are very clear. They've been posted on our website. So I think the story should typically end there. And henceforth, now, typically, coming back to the same point is that Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, whoever it is, sorry, but he would not say that, I will not send a team because there is some regulation on this thing. So we don't have to even think about that. Because the moment we start thinking about that, then there is if there is a problem which has already been addressed worldwide, imagine the apex body of sports, which is the International Olympic Committee. They have already said that esports is a sport. So I think that it completely settles down the whole debate of, let's say, GST Council or Tamil Nadu banning this game, that game, or stake or non-stake and all this. See, the moment you, and Anna is absolutely right. See, the moment you start talking about, you start using these kind of words sitting in front of a minister or an IS officer, stake, GST, everybody starts getting very jittery. You know, so whatever having said, and then gambling in India is banned, right? Or no, other than, I don't know, some state, wherever it is, right? But is any sport which is banned across any of the states or worldwide? No. So it's a sport, you feel free to play and participate. Imagine a parent of, if the parents come to know about this, oh, there is some stake thing happening, there is some GST thing happening, oh, this is banned here, this thing banned there, right? It becomes so jittery. So who would, and see, again, I'm saying, it's, incomplete knowledge is always dangerous. So as a parent, you would say, beta, what, beta or beti, what are you doing? You might go to jail and this thing, police will come to our home and everything. It becomes very, so I think, so very honestly, well, I get very uncomfortable whenever we start talking about stakes and others, because there's nothing in our case is called something as stake. There's a registration fee, like any other sport, any other district or any other cricket match happening or a hockey match happening. You come and pay a registration fee to participate in every school. Like, I know my son, he plays basketball. So there was a registration fee for him to represent his school at the district level or a school level, this thing. So we paid that. Now, if let's say the school says, no, this is not a registration, this is a stake fee, this thing, we'll say, beta, what are you doing? And we'll go and fight with the school that you're staking, so gambling, so, and hence, so kind of, so we should not confuse esports. And that is the reason we also, we raise a lot of objections whenever, and again, the Rajasthan bill, we raise a massive issue around that, but it's like, comparing fantasy and putting cricket together and this thing. It doesn't make sense. So why are we putting esports into that thing? And again, Aahna is right that, the way it was drafted was very poorly drafted set of document. So,
Got it. So
I
Aahna,
think the apprehension largely is the unfortunate reality is that anything that becomes electronic, the perception all automatically becomes that, okay, because it's electronic and because you're paying money, that becomes staking, so to speak, right? And that is what the segregation is the necessity and the need of the hour in terms of just because it's on the computer. Technically, when you're also going to the market and buying the FIFA CD to play on a console, right? That is the license fee that you're paying anyways. Nobody's looking at it that time that you're going to the market, paying the shopkeeper and buying. But the moment it comes to registration fee, I get calls from 5 clients saying, we've just hired an esports player in Tamil Nadu. Is it going to be okay now that there's a ban? I said, look at it separately.
no, but let's lead on that, because if you look at esports, there are now huge debates going on whether this whole franchisee league model is also one type of staking. Again, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying there is a debate that why, if the publisher is doing a league or doing some tournaments to benefit the community, that's usually the motto, right? Why have their franchise fees and such? If and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying there is a debate that if there is game one, which is taking millions of dollars and enabling a franchise league, and there are other government associations or bodies doing free tournaments, or even some games are only having like invited teams with zero what do you say, entry fees and whatnot, or yeah, so very interesting world that we are living in. Any remarks there?
So I think what you need to understand is how the league structure in general works in India, right? And this is a massive issue, not just in esports in India, but also physical sport, on ground sport in India. Because, I mean, in India, the culture largely has become, other than IPL, of course, which is run by BCCI, every other league that runs today, be it the ISL, be it the badminton league, be it the table tennis league, be it the racing league, everybody has paid a rights fee to the federation, taken exclusive rights, built in a non-compete to the federation that you will not sanction any other competing league. And for this exclusivity, so to speak, there's a rights fee being paid. Other than that, all the expenses are being undertaken by the relevant rights holder. So similarly here, if as a tournament operator, if I am paying the publisher a huge amount of license fee, right? So same case as In the case of football, FSDL, which is the JV between Reliance and Star, pays All India Football Federation a rights fee, right? Post that, they are charging their franchise a franchise fee. Similarly, here the tournament operator charges the franchises, which are the team operators, who are anyways paying salaries to their players to be able to retain them through the year, are then going to pay for the tournament operator that particular fee for whatever facilities that tournament operator is offering, right? Be it
Got
today
it.
you come to a central arena organization, the license fee that you're paying to the publisher, etc., etc. So it is exactly, I mean, the same thing as running any other league, and where the franchise model is going on, wherein a franchise fee is being paid.
Got it. Makes so much sense. I think we have run out of time. Thank you for valuable insights, and I'm sure that our audience has also learned a lot. I'm sure there'll also be a lot of comments and messages and questions in the YouTube channels where the video goes as well. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having us.